Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at eTrailer. Today we have the Let's Go Aero TriQuad bike rack, and when this rack is used on different vehicles, you're going to have different experiences. Today we're going to be talking about how it fits here on a truck with a camper shell, specifically the 2022 Ford F-150. Because of this setup, there's going to be different things that you are going to have to consider to get the most out of your rack. So let's get going on that. If you are watching this video, chances are you have a trike or a quad bike, and you know that transporting it is a little tricky. That is why this bike rack was made. It was so that it can accommodate those larger bikes. Now, if you have a truck, you may or may not need this bike rack because you could have just tossed it into the truck bed. But maybe you wanted the easier method of just ramping the bike up, and this does that. Or maybe you have an enclosed camper shell like this, and you can see with our handlebars, that was not gonna fit inside the truck. Now you have a truck and maybe you have cargo inside of it. There lies another issue. Can you still get to your cargo inside? If I was just to open this up and lower the tailgate, you would see that with the positioning of our tires, we can lower the tailgate most of the way, but not all the way. Good thing this slides out. At the base of the rack, you have this lock around what is known as the silent hitch pin. This is just a threaded bolt that you're gonna have to remove in order to use the slide out function. You can now lift and pull on the twin tube assembly. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, especially once you have your heavier trikes on there, but it is possible. And this can slide out further. But in the case of our truck here, this is all we need to go, because now we can completely lower our tailgate. We can grab whatever we need from inside. If you're the type of person that switches out your shoes, you keep your helmet stored in there. Those are all things you can get at now. Pushing the rack back in and securing it into place, you can see that it still does take up a good amount of space behind your vehicle, although less than earlier. So if you measured from the end of your truck, we're gonna go to the bumper here on our F-150 to the end of the rack. This sits at 50 inches. So that's gonna be a lot of length added to the back of your truck. So just be mindful that you already have a larger vehicle. If you have a small garage, when you park into a tight parking spot, it is going to take up more room. Fortunately, since this does sit further back, it does have some tail lights on the bike rack itself. So if you're driving down the highway and you're not quite sure if other people can see you, especially late at night, you can always just plug this right into your 4-way wiring port on your truck, and this will have the same lights that your truck does. When you press the brakes or when you need to make turns and you use your blinker, your rack will blinker too. This fits into the 2-inch hitch receiver on the back of your truck. And as it sticks out, it does have a slight rise to it, so your bike itself is going to be a little further up off the ground. We're going to take some measurements here. So if I measured from the end of the rack to the ground, that's going to be about 20.5 inches. If I measured from where our trike sits today to the ground, that's 23.5 inches. So almost 2 feet. That's going to be a lot of height that you are going to have to lift if you are lifting all the weight of your trike. So it's a good thing that this bike rack has ramps. The ramps are nested into the wheel trays for your bike. And you're gonna have the cam buckle straps, same ones that are used to secure your bike to the tray. When you undo both of those straps, you can take out one ramp. Take a look at the slot at the end of your tray. This is gonna be what your ramp clips into. And from here, we could just roll our trike down. Now, obviously, a quad bike would be much easier, but here I'm only supporting the weight of the wheel until I get far enough where the wheel can now rest on the ground. And now I'm not supporting much weight at all. So you can see how when you get your heavier trikes, since this does have a weight capacity of up to 80 pounds, that could be a lot of weight that you have on the rack, and much easier to just ramp the whole thing down than have to hoist it up yourself. when you're not planning on going for a bike ride, but you also don't want to take the bike rack off since honestly it does weigh 80 pounds, what you can do is fold this up so it takes up less space behind your truck. You start off with pulling the knob over here and twisting it so it stays in place. And then you go over to the end of the rack, lift up, and once you get over to this position, you can go ahead and pull this knob too, which is just a little safety. Push that up, and then allow that to just pop back into place. And in this position, our bike rack will now only sit from the end of the bumper, where we measured earlier, to the end of the rack, 13 inches, so barely over a foot. Big difference compared to when this was in the down position. Now it will sit pretty high up here. So if we look at the back, which is how other vehicles will see this rack, this sits right where our window is. So you are gonna see the top of the tubes through your rear view mirror, but it really won't impact your visibility through that mirror as much. Your backup camera also won't be as impacted since it sits right here in this opening between the tubes. So you're definitely gonna see the rack. But if there's any person standing behind the truck or any vehicles, you will be able to see them too. Your license plate is kind of covered, but pretty much any bike rack is gonna cover up the license plate on your truck. Your taillights are still going to be visible. If you wanted your bike rack to be visible too, you can actually adjust those lights whenever you fold it up so that it is still facing the outside. If you have a truck with a camper shell like what we have here and you're looking for how this bike rack is still going to work with that truck, hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you have a different type of vehicle, or maybe you're looking for some more in-depth information on the rack, check out our full demo right here on our website. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But today, this was a look at our Let's Go Aero TriQuad bike rack on the 2022 Ford F-150.